Hey guys, welcome to the channel. I'm Hudayfa, the founder of TealTech. We're an AI agency and we specialize in creating advanced AI-powered chatbots for your Shopify skincare store. These chatbots are aimed at increasing conversion rates, handling customer service, and encouraging your customers to spend more. I've created a step-by-step tutorial for you guys to follow using Voiceflow and Zapier. If you have any trouble with the tutorial, then feel free to ask for help in the comments below. So let's go on with the build. So if you open up a new Voiceflow project and you'll be met with this a blank canvas, and you'll see the start icon here. Now on that start icon, from the white circle, click and drag. Make sure you see that blue line, and then from the drop downs, go to talk and message. So this is called a block, and there's different types of blocks. This one is called a message block. So click onto your message block, and then on the right, you'll see where you can type in your message over here. And this is going to be the first thing that your user sees. So you want to create a persona for your assistant. So the name of my assistant is Grace, and I'm just introducing the assistant. Then click back onto your canvas and the message will appear in your message block. Now from your message block, you'll see this circle here, gray circle. Click and drag from there. Make sure you see that blue line. Go to another talk and message step. Here's where we're going to find out our user's intention. So click back onto your second block that you've made. And then on the right again, type in your message. So to find out their intention, I've said, how can I help you today? And then click back into your canvas. And then from there, we're going to click and drag again. And we're going to go down to a button step. So we're going to give them a list of options that they can choose from. And it will appear as buttons when they use the chatbot. So click onto your button step. And at the bottom here, you'll see add button. And then across from that, you'll see this gray button here. Click that, and from the drop down, go to the second one, intent scoping. And then you want to select only intents in this step. Go back into that again. Just ensure that only intents in this step is the one that's been highlighted. You can see that circle is blue there. Now we're going to give our button a label, and this is going to be what your customer sees. So whatever's appropriate for your store. So I've typed in product recommendations. So click back onto your canvas. Now whatever we attach onto the end of this block here, that's where our project is going to flow next when our customer clicks this button in the chatbot. So let's start building out the product recommendations part of our chatbot. Now to keep this neat, because this is going to be a very big chatbot in the end, you go over here to the left and hit new workflow. I just name this whatever's relevant for yourself. I'm going to shorten product recommendation and create workflow. You'll be met with a blank new canvas apart from this add trigger icon here. Right click on that and delete it. That's advanced for another time. From here, we're going to use a talk block. So go over to the left and you see that bar there. Hover over talk and message. Click and drag the message option and see a message block come up. On the right, we're going to type in our message. So I've said, please explain what you are looking for. From there, we're going to click and drag and talk and message again. And similar to human sales assistant might say, we're going to give our user an example of what they could say. So I've typed, for example, you could say, I have dry skin on my hands, something that's very relevant to the skincare community. Click back into your canvas, and a quick trick here, the white part of your message block, if you click and drag and then hover over another block, you can combine the two to make it a bit neater. Now from here, we're going to use the capture step that Voiceflow provided. So if you click and drag from your latest block, go down to listen and capture. And what this does is whatever the user types, it contains it within this variable. So the variable is whatever's between the curly brackets, and it acts as a container for users' inputs. Now to demonstrate that, you don't have to copy this part. This is just for the demonstration. I'm going to click and drag from our capture step and hit message. And in the message, I'm going to type in the variable. So you open curly brackets and you see a drop down of the variables. Select whichever one is relevant. We're going to select last utterance because that's what's being used in our capture step. And now, if you hover over the right corner of your block and select start test, and you'll see this block has been highlighted, as has this block, but this block hasn't yet. The flow has stopped at the capture step because it's waiting for us to type something in so that I can capture it. So I'm going to type in hello. And as you can see, we've typed in the variable here that's containing our input, which is hello, and it's presented it back to us in the chatbot here on the right. Going to get rid of that. Now for a more advanced use of variables, click and drag from your capture step, and we're going to go down to dev and function. And now we need to download the function. Now in the description below, you should see the function called get chunks and create carousel. Go ahead and download that. And then go back on the left of the screen and then go down to functions. And then in the top right, you'll see an import icon. Click import. Wherever you've downloaded your function, go ahead and find it and import it. Once you've done that, it should look like this. You can click it and you can have a look at the function. It's code language and it's set up perfectly. We don't need to worry about it anymore. Now I should give a shout out to the dudes over at Streamline Connect. They're the ones who created this function. They made it very easy to create product recommendations for your store. So definitely give them a visit. Their website's in the description below. Once you've downloaded it, click onto your function block on the right in the drop down. Just select the only function you've got available to you right now. Now, the first thing we'll do is over here at the top is asking for our API key. To get that, go to the left of your screen and down to the fourth icon, you'll see integration. And you should see a button called copy API key. Click that and you see the notification on the right. Go back to content, workflow, and double click product recommendation and click back onto your block. And then you just want to paste your API key just like so. For user question, we're going to import whatever variable we use in our capture step over here, which as you can see is last utterance. Open curly brackets and you see the drop down for your list of variables and select last utterance. Just ensure it is the last utterance variable, otherwise this step won't work. Now for the output mapping, we're going to import the variable payload. So open curly bracket, type in payload. Now as you can see, there's no option for the variable payload. However, we do have an add payload option. So if you click that, and this is how you create a new variable. Back into your function block again, and just once again type in the payload variable, and you can see there now it's come up as a variable that we can select. Back into your canvas and back into your block one more time just to see that it's all there. And if your screen looks like that, then we can move on. Now from the success tab of your function block, you want to click and drag, find dev, and go custom action. Now at the top, type in carousel. It's important to note, make sure all the letters are in lowercase and the spelling is correct, otherwise this won't work. And click on action body and ensure JSON is selected. And then open brackets, and then open curly brackets. Type in payload, close curly brackets, and then beneath that you'll see paths, and across from that you'll see the plus button. The first path we're going to name as default, and then the second one we're going to name as click URL, and ensure that is the one that's selected. And once you've done that, click back onto your canvas, and now we need to go over to our Shopify store. So head over to the Shopify store, and you need to download the app called Streamline Connect. Streamline Connect, the Voiceflow app. Go ahead and download that, set that up, and then you'll be met with an option to connect assistant. Connect your assistant, and then you need to paste your API key into this bar here. We'll go over how to find that. Back to Voiceflow, over to the left, hit back, down to integration, and then you have the option there to copy API key. Go back to your Shopify store, paste your API key, and then name your chatbot, and hit connect. And then where the three dots are, click that and hit manage data. Now we're going to send over our products to our Voiceflow project. So go to send products and then name your project. And then in part two, you have two options. I'd recommend the select manually option. This ensures only single products are sent over to your Voiceflow chatbot, and only single products are actually going to be recommended to your user. This makes it easier to actually convert a user and actually make the sale compared to recommending large bundles or large collections. They're usually more expensive. and harder to sell when you haven't earned your users' trust yet. Also, I found that users prefer a single product that's specific to their needs that they're sure is going to work for them. And go down the bar below that, you can search for the products that you actually want to send over and select them. And then above that it has save selected. Select that. Then part 4, ensure that you've selected main image. And then apart from that, everything else is fine as it is. Go down to confirm and save. Hit refresh list. And then you'll see the status as success. And then you can leave that alone. Go back to your Voiceflow project. On the left icon, you'll see content. And then beneath workflow, you'll see knowledge. And you should see whatever the name of your file is. You should see that appear here. Open that, and you'll see that all of this on the right here is information from your website. And you can see the bottom of the box with the faint outline is, you see main image. After main image, you'll see a web link. Copy that and paste it into Google. And if the correct image has come up, fantastic. If not, then rewind the video and backtrack your steps. Moving on, above knowledge is workflows, then product recommendation, double click. And now you're good to go ahead and test. So go over to the first initial block, hit start test from here. And we're going to type in hand cream, as that's what we're looking for. And as you can see, it's given us an appropriate product recommendation. And if you click the link down, it will open up to this product on your website. If you want to get rid of this text here, which is not relevant or important at this moment, you can go to the top where it shows the settings icon and just deselect debug mode. If you hit escape on your keyboard, now we just need to connect up this product recommendation flow to the home page. So the first thing we have to do is this initial block here. At the top, you see it's been labeled new block 0. Click on that, select it, and just name product rec. Go back into home, and if you recall, you had the button product recommendations. If you click and drag, and you see actions here, and then go to block. And then on the right, you have an option to select block, and the block that we want is within the product recommendation workflow. It's the product recommendation block that we want this button to lead to. If you go back into product recommendation, and where we had the capture at the bottom, we have this toggle button here, and click it, and you'll see the drop down intent scoping, and you see only intents in this step. Similar to the button step, ensure that only intents in this step is selected, and just double check that that's the one that's been selected. Now if you go back into home, we can test what we've built. So start test on the green start icon. We're greeted, we're asked why we're here today essentially, and the user will click the button, and then we are asked what we're looking for. I'm looking for hand cream, and it's given us an appropriate product recommendation. So if you managed to achieve that, well done. Now I'm sure you're not going to be satisfied just there, so let's start upgrading this. First, go back to the home page. Let's go to this product recommendations block. And one thing to know is that users might sometimes type in something here rather than click a button, which will cause havoc with your assistant. At the bottom on the right, you see no match. Click that. If a user does anything other than click a button, then it will go down the no match path as soon as you hit select. And now from the no match path, we're going to click and drag the message step and say, sorry, I didn't catch that. And then another message step. And then click and drag and hover to combine those two messages. And then where it says please choose an option below, we're going to click and drag that back up to the buttons. And just to see what that looks like in practice, we're going to start the assistant. We're going to type rather than select the button. And as you can see, that works perfectly. So we can come out, press escape, come out of that. Back over to our product recommendation part of our work. The next thing we're going to do is give our user a reason as to why this product has been recommended to them. Now the first thing we're going to do is between these two blocks here, we're going to right click on that line and delete. And you can move the carousel block up a bit. Now from the success tab, we're going to click and drag, and we're going to use a set AI step, just like so. And now we're going to label that something like extract product. And then for data source, we want AI model selected. And now here we're going to enter the prompt. Now what we want our AI to do is to use a chunk of information that this function here gives us and to extract the name of the product that's been recommended. So the instructions that I've given to my AI step here is from payload, just ensures between the curly brackets. From payload, extract whichever of the following products are mentioned and present as normal text. Then list your products here, and then just give any instructions that you think are relevant here. Only respond with the product and nothing else. And now we need to save the output that the AI gives us to a variable. So we're going to go select variable, create new variable, and I'm going to name this recommended product. And then create. Now we can use the information saved in that variable to ask AI to create a response for us. So if we go over to set AI and just drag it so it's nice and neat, go into it, and we're going to label it as relate product to customer. Then for data source, you want to select knowledge base. And now here we're going to give the AI the information that it needs to consider. So the first information is the user's input, which we saved in a variable called last utterance. And the second one is the name of the product that's actually been recommended to the user, which we saved as recommended product. And now the actual instructions. So the instructions that you give to your AI should look something like this. Give your instructions here, and then give it an example. And then while you're testing your chatbot, if your chatbot responds with anything that doesn't make sense, then you just give those instructions down at the bottom here. Again, we're going to select this to another variable to create another variable, and I've named it relate product to customer. Create. Now beneath you see override prompt settings. Click into that, and now you want to use the GPT-4 Turbo option, and then temperature. This essentially is creativity. This part here you need to experiment with. I prefer 0.6 token. This controls how large your message is going to be. So I bring that down to about 80. And then here you're giving the overall system, the overall instructions of how it should behave. So I've written you are a sales assistant for a skincare store and must be persuasive in your explanation. And then from here, we click and drag, go over to a message step, click into it, and whatever variable you've saved this response here, you can present that in the message block here. Relate product to customer. And then click and drag from that message block over to your carousel. Click into your carousel and make sure stop on action is on. And now you're ready to test. So start your test from the initial block. I have dry skin on my hands. And there we are. We've got a soft moisturizing cream and the reason as to why it will help us. And if we click into that, it will take us to the product page. Now, congratulations if you've made it that far. And the next thing we're going to do is add a Q&A feature. Now we're going to change up the order of this slightly. We're going to put the relate to customer message after we display the product. So if you right click on the lines that's connecting to it, to and from, and delete them, and then drag it to the right. And then from the relate product to customer AI step, you can see by this symbol over here, click and drag that over to the carousel step. And now both the default and click URL tabs, make sure they're connected to the message step over here, where we're displaying the message. Now from this message step, we're going to click and drag and another message step, and we're going to ask, do you have any questions? We're going to give them yes and no option. And down here you can see you have an add button, and that's just to create another button. So that's yes and no. So that's yes and no. And then next to the add button, again, ensure that intent scoping is set to only intents for this step. Before we continue, we'll get the no match done now. If you remember earlier, click no match, add the path, and this ensures that if the user does anything other than click yes or no, it will redirect them and prompt them to click one of these options again. So from the no match, click and drag. I'm going to hit another talk step. Sorry, I did not catch that. Please choose an option below and just connect it up to your button block above it. Now from here, we'll deal with the yes option first. So click and drag from the yes tab, and we're going to invite them to ask their question. So ask away, exclamation mark. And then the user is going to type in their question, and we are going to capture it in a variable. We're going to go listen and then now to capture, and ensure that we select intent scoping, only intents in this step. And that's the one to be selected. Click and drag to make it neat. Once we've captured the question in the last utterance variable, I'm going to click and drag. And we're going to go to AI and response AI and knowledge base. I should mention the knowledge base is the big bank of information that got sent over from Shopify, and it's now in Voiceflow. Where it says question, we're going to input the user's question, which we saved in the variable last utterance. And remember, use curly brackets to get the drop down list. And then here we're going to give it the instructions. We're telling the AI that the user is asking questions about the product that's been recommended. We're telling it to only speak about that product, to keep it brief and speak as though they are a human. Down at the bottom, you'll see again override prompt settings. Go into that, and just so that we get better quality answers, I would recommend ChatGPT 4 Turbo. Bring that temperature down to 0.4, 0.45. For tokens, you can make it a bit higher, about 150, because you want the answer to be comprehensive. And for the system, just give the AI the overall instructions of how we want it to behave. Now back into our AI block, you can see by that brain symbol there, you'll see the not found path. From the not found path, we want to do a similar thing we do to the button step and say, sorry, I can't seem to find an answer, please ask again. And then you're going to click and drag over to your capture so that it captures when they try and ask their question again. Now from the last utterance, go down to talk and message. And here we're going to ask them whether they have any other questions. And then again, we can do a yes and no option. Now something to make your builds go a bit quicker. We've already set up this yes and no option here. So if we right click on that block and duplicate, and you can see we've got the exact same thing, saves us some time. Any other questions, we click and drag over to the new block that we've copied, and then we've got yes, no, and no match. Click into that, and just ensure that only intents in this step is selected. It is. If they do have another question, you can click and drag from that tab over to ask away, or you could do back to the capture step, whichever one seems appropriate to you. And if they select no, then go over to your carousel, right click, and again duplicate, and drag this over to the button step here. And if they say no, then you can either just connect it back up to the carousel step and they'll be presented with the product again, or you could increase the chances of getting a sale and say something like, sounds like you are ready to buy, with an exclamation mark, and then go over to present the product, increasing the chances that you actually make a sale. One important thing to note is the second carousel step. Ensure that stop on action is on. Once you've made sure that it's on, go back to your first initial carousel step and ensure that it's off. So at the first carousel step, you want to make sure that stop on action is off, and at the second one, you want to ensure that it is on. And remember, we have the no match at the bottom here. We have to add our no match. So if you go over to the first button step and where we put sorry I did not catch that, right click and ensure the whole block is highlighted, and duplicate, and then the duplicate, just drag it to the second button step, connect the no match to the duplicate, and then connect please choose an option below back up to the button step. For the no option, we can just take it over to sounds like you're ready to buy, and then the chatbot will present the image. Now we can test out our chatbot, so start the test from here. When asking for some hand cream, and yes, I have a question. I've got my answer. Yes, it does clean alcohol. Any other questions? No, I don't have any other questions. Sounds like you're ready to buy. And if I were to click on that link, then it would open up to the web page with that product. If you made it there, fantastic. If not, then retrace your steps and troubleshoot. And if that doesn't work, then go ahead and ask me for help in the comments below. Now we're going to create dedicated product pages for our best-selling products. If you go over to new workflow and type in the name of the best-selling product that you're going to choose to promote. I'm choosing the soft moisturizing cream product, and you'll be met with a new canvas. Right click on this icon here and delete. So if you go over to the left and choose the message step, and here we're going to insert the variable that contains the AI response relating the product to our customer. Then from there, we're going to go to another message step, and we're going to ask them to choose one of the buttons that we're going to insert below. Click and drag and insert a button. First one, we'll name it as see the results. And then we're going to add button. We're going to have a purchase option. And then a third button, allowing the user to ask a question. So we'll start with the see the results part first. Click and drag. And here we're going to go to talk and carousel. And then you're going to go down to add card. And then for the first one, we're going to insert a picture of someone's skin condition before they started using our products. So browse, and then choose whichever image you wish, and then type in something that describes the user's symptoms. I've said this customer was dealing with painful, dry, and cracked skin. And then for the second card, we're going to insert an after picture and label that as after, and then something like 2 weeks of using our cream and his skin is now smooth. Now above this carousel here, we're going to go message and hover over to combine the two, and in italics, you can see at the top, you can choose the italic option. We're going to give the instructions that they can swipe back and forth. Swipe across to see the results. And then again, after the carousel step, another message block, and in there, we're going to write, our cream works wonders, try it out for yourself. And then we're going to go to a button step. Whenever you use a button step, ensure intent scoping is set to only intents in this step. And then label it something like get yours here. Then we are going to go down to actions, open URL. Here, paste a link to the web page for your product. Now that we've done that, we'll go on to purchase. We're going to go talk and message. And before they purchase, we're going to ask, are there any specific symptoms you're trying to treat? And then from here, we'll just let them answer. So we'll do a capture step. And again, same as the button step earlier, the capture step, we should always do only intents in this step. Then once they've replied, we will go for another message step. So a message just like that. And here's where we're going to start trying to upsell them our set. So our glow up set will give you the best results. From here, you're going to click and drag. And we're going to go for another carousel. And in the carousel step, there's the add card option. Add as many cards as you need according to how many items are within that set. And then for each product within that set, you're going to include it as an image. And then here you'll give the name of the product and then You can give a small description if you want. I've found that it's a bit too wordy to include here, so I've left it out. So go ahead and do that. Once you've got every product from your collection set up just like so, you can click out of that. Now, following on from our carousel step here, we're going to go to listen and buttons and ensure to select only intents in this step. We're going to give them an option to purchase the whole glow set. So that will be the button there. And then down to actions, hit plus, and then open URL, and then paste the web page link for your collection. And then we're going to go to add button. And then for the second button, we're going to give them an option to purchase just the recommended product, just the soft moisturizing cream. And then again, down to action, plus, open URL, insert the link to the web page for your recommended product. Click back onto your canvas. Now that's the last thing we need to do is our Q&A section. So head over back to product recommendation. On your keyboard, hold down shift and then left click and hold, and then select from ask away up to your second button step. Then right click and copy back to your product page. Make yourself some space on your canvas, just like so, and then hit paste. And then neaten it up. And that's a useful shortcut that you can use to save yourself some time. So if someone has a question, they click ask a question, we'll invite them to ask away, and then it will capture, and then the AI will answer. Once the AI gives an answer, then they will be asked if they have any other questions. Yes and no. If yes, back to the capture. If they say no, they don't have any other questions, we're going to say something along the lines of, similar to before, it sounds like we're ready to buy, and then click and drag over to the specific symptoms question, and then they'll be sent down that path. And there you have it. You've created a dedicated product page for one of your best sellers. Now, feel free to replicate this for your other best sellers. And once you've done that, we can move on to the next step. So the next step is going to be the browse section. Go over to home, and where we've got that button block, we're going to click into that, and we're going to add a button. And this is going to be for browsing. Just type in browse. And as you might have guessed, we're going to add a new workflow. Title it browse, create the workflow, get rid of that trigger, delete. And then we can start off with a message, check out our top products, and then click and drag another message step. And then based on this message here, you might have guessed we're going to list our best sellers. If you want to test yourself quickly, go ahead and figure this out on your own. Okay, if you manage to do that on your own, then great. If not, then not a problem. To talk, and then carousel, same as we did before, browse and insert your top product. Here, give the name of the product, and then a very short, small message. Then you can see on your card here, you've got the option to add a button. So add the button, label it, find out more. So once our user clicks this button, we want to send them to a specific part of the dedicated product page that we made. So head over back to that page. Also, can't send them to this block because they haven't gone through the product recommendation function yet. So we can send them straight down to this block here. So if you just name that so we can reference it. So I've labeled that soft moisturizing cream buttons. Head back over to browse. And then from this tab here, we can just click and drag actions, go to block, and then select the block that we just named soft moisturizing cream buttons. Just to see that in action. Then as you can see, they've got an option to find out more about that product. It will take them over to the product page, and they'll be able to explore that product. If you go back to browse. Now if our user is looking for something else, we can add another button step. Take care of the intent scoping. And we're going to label it, I'm looking for something else. And then drag that down. And we're going to give them some more options. I'm going to go buttons, again, intent scoping. The first one is help me find a product. And we're going to ensure that triggers the action of going to the product recommendation part. So product recommendation and product. The second button, we're going to offer them to see our collections, so see our collections. And before we move on, we have to make sure that we take care of the no match. So click on it, generate the path. Same as we've done repeated, just a no match message here. So if you want to see our collections, click and drag, and then another talk step. Check out our collection. And then here we're going to go talk, carousel, and hover over to combine the two. Over here, you'll insert an image of your collection, the title. Here you can give a small description, or you can list the products within that collection. And then add button, click here to find out more, and then go down to actions, open URL, and as you might have guessed, enter the web page for your collection. And then add cart and repeat the same steps for all of the collections that you want to promote. Once you've done that, you should end up with a list of your collections and the links to purchase them as well. Now let's connect our browse page to our home page. So the first block in your browse page, rename it. And then once you've renamed it, head back over to home, and from the button browse, click and drag, go down to actions, go to block, and select the browse block. Next, we're going to take care of customer service. So click back into your button block, add button, label it customer service. And now let's start that on a new workflow. Remove the trigger. And we're going to start off with buttons. Again, take care of the intent scoping. Here we're going to do 3 buttons, starting off with track my order. The second is going to be returns and exchanges. The third one will be complaints. Hopefully you shouldn't have too many complaints. Now from track my order, we're going to click and drag, message, and say something like sure. And then another message step. And we're going to ask for the email. Then we're going to use a capture step so that we can capture the email. And here you're going to want to create a new variable named email to capture the email with, just like so. And then ensure intent scoping is only intent in this step. Once you've captured the email, to make sure that it is this correct. And we're going to present the email address back to them. If you remember how to do this, open curly brackets, and from the drop down, select the variable where you've saved the customer's email address, and then click and drag, combine them, and then from there we're going to give them 2 buttons, yes if it's correct, and no if it's incorrect. And then same as always, add the no match. If it's no, then you can drag up to the what's your email block. Ensure that the what's your email please tab is the one that's highlighted and not the whole block, otherwise that would just look silly in the conversation. Now from the yes button, we're going to go down to action, we're going to go down to dev and function, and now you need to go ahead and download the second function for this project. It's in the description below. If you go back and function, go over to the right and import, and make sure you download the retrieve streamline order function available in the description below. And then head over to your Shopify store, click on your project, manage data, and on the right here you have the create button. This time you want to send orders. Go ahead and copy the instructions on Shopify. And once you've done that, come back into Voiceflow and go to your workflow and go to your customer service workflow. Select the function block and select the retrieve streamline order function. Once you've done that, we're going to input the variables. For this variable at the top, whichever variable we used over here in the capture step to save the email address, we're going to type into here. So open curly brackets, email address. For these 3 variables here, we want to create the exact same variable over here and paste it into here. Yours should look something like that. If you're struggling with how to create the new variables, you can refer back to the timestamp down below where we covered it earlier in the video. From the success tab, we're going to click and drag message, another message step, and we'll have presented the order to them. So we're going to say something like, here's your order, and then another message step, is there anything else I can do? And then from here, we'll give them some options. Another button step, take care of the intent scoping. For the first one, we're going to give them the option of saying, nope, I'm all good. And then for the second button, we'll give them the option of continue shopping. If they say no, they're all good, then click and drag. And you could say something like this: glad I could help. Have a good day, and I hope we'll speak again soon. However, if they want to continue shopping, then you can play around with this one. I prefer to send them over to the product recommendation part of my project. However, you could also send them to the home page or to the browse page. It's really up to you. Now, if for any reason this function fails, it will follow this error path. Now, if this happens, then we're going to collect the email address as well as the order number and whatever other information you need from them, and we're going to save it in a Google Sheet that we can later refer to and help that customer. So from the error message, click and drag. I'm going to go talk and message. Sorry, I'm having trouble finding your order. And then you can say, I'm going to send an email to one of our advisors and I'll get back to you shortly. And then from there, any other information you need, you can just ask for, such as order number. Can I have your order number, please? And then we need to capture the order numbers, use another capture step. Again, take care of the intent scoping. We need to save the order number in a variable. So create a new variable, and you can name that order number. Now we've saved the order number. We're going to confirm that we're going to follow the same flow that we did when we were double checking their email address. So hold down Shift, select these three blocks. We're going to duplicate and then drag that over. Just be sure to change the variable that we want to confirm whether or not it's correct. So again, between the curly brackets, and it's the order number variable that we're using here. Make sure you connect them all up. If they say no, then ensure you connect that up to where you ask for the order number, just like so. Ensure that block there is actually highlighted. If they say yes, it is correct, then we're going to use our API call. So go over to Dev and API, click and drag. Now at the top there you see API. Beneath that we see a drop-down option, and you want to select the post option. And now where we see body, we're going to click plus on that, and we have form data. We're going to enter the key is the label or the title for that certain information. For example, our email address. And remember, we've stored the user's email address in their variable called email address. So open curly brackets, select that variable. And another piece of information that we want to send over to our Google Sheet is the order number. So title it order number. And then enter the order number variable between the curly brackets. And that's that for now. If you leave this alone for a moment and head over to Zapier, then on the top left, you'll see create. And then you want to choose the Zap option. Then click on trigger. And you want to choose the webhooks by Zapier option. And then where it says trigger event, we're going to select catch hook. So once you've selected catch hook, hit continue and continue again. And then you'll be met with your webhook URL. And at the side here you see copy. Copy that, head back over to your Voiceflow project, and at the top bar here where it says post, you're going to paste what you just copied. Once you pasted what you've copied, at the bottom you'd see send request. Hit send request. You can enter anything here. I'm going to enter number 1 and number 1 here and generate. And if you see at the bottom here where it says 200 OK, it means you've been successful. You can cancel that, go back over to Zapier, test trigger, and at the bottom here you see the request A, and now this has pulled the information from your Voiceflow. And if you recall, in Voiceflow we set up the 2 titles, email address and order number, and then hit continue with selected record. And then from here we're going to choose Google Sheets. And then once you've selected Google Sheets, where it says action event, you want to select the create multiple spreadsheet rows. Click on that and then continue. And then you just need to go ahead and select the spreadsheet that you want to use. So whichever spreadsheet that you've opened and titled within your Google Sheets, select that here. My one is called demo, and it's just sheet 1. Now, as you can see here, we've been met with this message that they can't see any headers in the selected spreadsheet. So go over to your Google Sheet and start entering some headers. So the first one is going to be email, and second one is going to be order number. Now we've added that. We can just refresh this page. So up here it says refresh fields. Hit refresh, and as we can, we've got email and order number. And now this is actually from our Google Sheet, and we need to add the relevant or corresponding information from Voiceflow under these titles in our Google Sheet. Now this information here is coming from Voiceflow. The email is going to go under the email title in our Google Sheet, and order number is going to go in the order number part of our Google Sheet. Once that's done, and it looks like that, hit continue, and then you can hit test step. And if you've been successful, whatever information we used in Voiceflow, that same information or those same values will turn up in our Google Sheet. If you've managed to achieve that, you've been successful, well done. If not, then backtrack and restart this step. Alternatively, just ask for help down in the comments below. Now let's head back over to Voiceflow. If the order number is correct, we'll click and drag from the Yes tab of our button block over to the API block over here. If the API has been successful and has actually sent the information over to our Google Sheet, we're going to click and drag from success and just let them know that it's been successful. All done. Please check your emails, and advisor will reach out shortly. And then you can say, have a good day, and the conversation will end there. However, if this API has failed, then click and drag from the fail tab and say something along the lines of, sorry, something went wrong. Could you send an email to, and then whichever email is relevant for your customer service team, and then end with thank you. And that's order tracking taken care of. What you can do is this button step here, click and drag further down just so that it's all nice and neat. Now to test out the order tracking, start the test. Track my order, and we're going to paste our email. Yes, that's correct. And as you can see, it's produced our order and it's stated it's on its way. And if the user was to click the link over here, they would be taken to the web page where they have more details on the status of their order. And then from here, is there anything else I can do, or continue? Is there anything else I can do? And you have the option of I'm all good or continue shopping. I'm going to select I'm all good. There we are. We've got a nice message over there. Next, let's take care of complaints. So from the complaints button, we're going to go talk and I'm sorry to hear that, and then explain that you'll need some message from them before you can continue. Connect that up just to make it look a bit neater, and then start off with asking for their name, and then take care of the intent scoping, and then we're going to create a new variable to save the user's name. You can just name it name, easy as that. Create variable, and this is a pretty cool trick to use the name variable. Click and drag, and then you can actually refer to them using their name. Thanks, then insert the name variable. So if they type in John, we'll say thanks, John, comma, and your email, please. And then again, just listen, capture, intent scoping, and use the variable email address. And then from that capture step, we're going to ask them to actually tell us what their complaint. Please explain your complaint in detail, and then you want to capture that. And then again, create new variable and name it com. Now we've got all the information that we need. We're going to use another API step. Now what you can do is duplicate the one that we created earlier. And here we've got email address, order number, we can leave those in. We just need to add the name and the complaint. So if you go to body, we've got two new pieces of information that we need. So ensure there are two new bodies. And then we're going to title the first one name. Using curly brackets, we're going to enter the name variable. And then we're going to title this one complaint. And then use the complaint variable. And then at the bottom there, send request. And then for the variables, you can set them to whatever you need. Generate code, you've got 200 OK notification at the bottom. Come out of that. And then when you go over back to Google, we need to ensure that we have the relevant titles here. So it's also name and complaint. So head back over to Zapier and then click the Webhooks by Zapier block here. And then ensure that's set to catch hook. Continue. And then you want to find new, because we've sent over new information from Voiceflow, we need to ensure that Zapier can find that. So find new records, and then if you remember, request A was the original one. You want to select request B, and just click onto that, and you'll see name and complaint have been to the information that we're going to be sending over to our Google Sheet. We're satisfied with that. Continue with selected record. You can leave this all the same as it was. Continue. Then you can see that the name and complaint titles have appeared. If they haven't appeared, then at the top here, where you've got these three steps, there's a refresh fields button. Click that, and the two new titles will appear here. Then over on the right side of the bar here, we can click plus, and you'll see that the titles from Voiceflow appear over here. Now name is going to go where in the name title, and the customer's complaint is going to go in the complaint title. Hit continue, and then click retest step. Okay. Now if you head over to Google Sheet, you should see your data has appeared over here. So that's been successful. And just ensure that you connect this capture step up to your API. Now you'll find sometimes that when you attempt to click and drag, it refuses to connect the two. This is a glitch within Voiceflow, but a quick remedy to this: click and drag, go over to actions, go to block, and whatever the name of that block is, just find it. So we are in customer service, and it's new block 13 copy, and now these two are connected up just like that. Now if you've been successful, we can let the user thank you for explaining your complaint. The customer service team will reach out shortly. And then you can ask, is there anything else I can help you with today? Just combine those two message blocks. And if you remember earlier, we created something that looks just like that up over here. You can highlight just this button block here and duplicate, then click and drag, and then copy that same message. Let's say they're all good, and then you can send them that friendly message. However, if the API step here has failed, we're going to do something similar to before. We're just going to right click on that block where we said sorry something went wrong. We're going to duplicate, and we're going to drag, down to our second API block. And from fail, we're going to take it over to this block. Now, last but not least, let's take care of returns and exchanges. Let's move the complaints flow out of the way. So I'll hold down Shift on the keyboard, drag across and select all of that, and then just drag it all the way down here. Same thing with track my order, hold down Shift on the keyboard, select it all and drag it all the way up. Give yourself some space. Now for returns and exchanges, we're going to first ask them to provide some information. Just like that, I'll need some information to help you with your return. And then we're going to ask for the email. And then rather than type the whole thing again, we'll find somewhere where we've created that already. Hold down Shift, duplicate, and then drag the duplicate over. And just so that it all makes sense, you can get rid of the show message and just go straight to what's your email, please. Capture the email. Is it correct? Return it back to them. Yes. If it's not, then send them back up to ask for the email again. And if it is correct, then we can proceed with the next piece of information that we need, which is the order number. And then use another capture step to ensure that we take care of the intent scoping. And we're going to save the order number in the order number variable. And then with those two pieces of information, we can send it over to our Google Sheet. Again, that API block that we use further up, just duplicate it. So if you click into the API block, we've already included email address and order number earlier, and so we don't need to make any adjustments here. So now one last thing that we should do is to categorize the type of customer service so that when it comes to addressing the customer service issue, we know what we're dealing with. So in the initial button block for customer service, if you disconnect track my order initially, and then from track my order, click and drag, and we're going to go down to actions, set variable, and select variable. And then we're going to create a new variable, and we're going to write customer service type, if you wish. Customer service type, create variable, and then we're going to set the value to whatever type of customer service they've asked for. So it's track my order in this case. So click out of that, track my order. So now what that's going to do is anytime that a user clicks track my order, the variable customer service type will contain the information track my order. And then from that bar, we can click and drag up to the start of our order tracking block, just like so. We'll do the same thing for returns and exchanges. Get rid of the initial line, click and drag, go down to actions, set variable, and then we've already created the variable. So it's going to be customer service type, and here it's going to be returns and exchanges. And then again, drag from that bar over to the start of your returns and exchanges flow. And last but not least, do the same thing for now we just need to ensure that the type of customer service that the user has clicked on is actually sent over to our Google Sheet. So first thing we're going to do is within our API steps, click add, enter key, enter the title. So it's the customer service type, and now the variable is customer service type. Do the same thing for the other API steps. Once you've done that, we're going to send request, enter the value, and click generate. And you'll see the 200 OK code is there. Click out of that. Go over to Google Sheets, create the title, customer service type. Over to Zapier, and click onto the first block again. Continue, find new records. And if you open it, you can see email address, order number, name, complaint, and customer service type. So that's the correct one. And then if you hit continue with selected record, and then we're in Google Sheets, continue. And as we can see, the customer service type title hasn't appeared yet. So hit refresh views at the top and it's there. Hit plus, and then you can see customer service type has appeared, and then continue. Let's retest the step. And once that's done, head over to Google Sheets. As you can see down here, the information has been inputted. Once you're happy with that, you hit publish and turn Zap on. Let's ensure we connect the home page up to our customer service page. So the initial button block here, let's name it customer service. Go over to home, and then from the customer service button, go to block and find that customer service block. Customer service. Now let's test out our big project. So we can go share prototype, open link in new tab, start conversation, and now we have the three options. Let's say browse. We have our top products. I'm looking for something else. Help me find a play. I have dark spots on my back. And it's giving us the cream. Do you have any questions? Yes. Now that information about whether this product is vegan friendly or not isn't in our knowledge base, so it can't answer that. We'll ask another question. Does this contain... Oh, not know the questions. Sounds like you're ready to buy and you can purchase it there. Let's actually deploy our agent. Let's get it on our website. So if you head over to the top here, it says publish. You can enter a name if you want. Once it's been successfully published, click embed widget, and then here is where you can start making. You can change the name of your assistant, Grace, for example, and you can see it's changed over here. And you can change this to whatever suits you. How can I help? Up here on this piece of code here, you'll see the copy icon. Click that. Go over to your Shopify store. Find the theme section of the store, either your library, then either a theme from your library or your current theme. If you click on the three dots here, and you want to find edit code in the drop down, then come all the way to the bottom and move myself out of the way. And where you see body, just above body, you want to create a space there, and then you'll be left with this. Now this what I've highlighted here is going to be the top of the code that you've just inserted, and above that we need to insert one more thing in order to finish this off. Now this is another piece of code that I've included in the description below. So and paste it here, and then you can go over to the top right and click save. Let me move myself out of the way again. And then once you've saved it, hit preview store, and you'll see at the bottom there is your chatbot. I'll let you go ahead and test it out. If you made it to the end of the video, then well done. You now have an advanced AI-powered chatbot on your Shopify store. If you've had any issues along the way, then feel free to ask for help in the comments below. Until then, I'll see you in the next video.